All right, we are here in New Hampshire with Mike Rogers of Granite Grok, the political blog in New Hampshire. Can you tell my readers a bit about Granite Grok, although they should know a little bit about it already?
I would hope they do. Granite Grok was founded about 4 years ago by Skip Murphy and a friend, and for a while actually Skip carried it solo, but he's attracted a writing crew of more than 10 conservatives. We all have slightly different perspectives, but we're all conservative verging on libertarian. We believe in he who governs least governs best. And as Skip put it very forcefully in the 223 rally, the bigger the government, the smaller the citizen.
And that's a very big thing. Grok has, as you said, Grok has 10 writers, and more than just writing and commenting on things, Granite Grok covers events. If there's a big event that happens in New Hampshire when it comes to politics, someone from Granite Grok is there.
That someone was more than 4 of us, I think, at the 223 rally in Concord, for example. We had the tent, we had Skip and the blogging table, and we had several of us milling around. 2 of us spoke. It was quite the event. We get to as many of the big events as we can. Sometimes just a flip cam or a cell phone, but far more often, if it's a major event, it'll be the full-on record and Ustream simultaneously.
During the New Hampshire primaries, Granite Grok, and not to undersell myself who was covering it, but Granite Grok really was the place to be. You had people everywhere, it seemed, and at more than one place at a time, seemed.
That's true. Skip Murphy and Steve McDonald are probably the most active and are out there pretty much all the time, but there are multiple others of us. I actually travel for business. I was around the country covering other primary events. I went to Iowa, I went to Herman Cain's launch in Atlanta, and so on. And it's all about feeding back as much interesting information as you can. And we all have slightly different viewpoints, slightly different feeds. We get stuff from the internet and research it. And research is the other thing that gets done. The team investigates both small town and whole state shenanigans in terms of budgets and electoral procedures, and is not afraid to call out the miscreants, even if they are so-called Republicans.
Now, another thing about Grok is it's reached the point where it's so ubiquitous here in New Hampshire that you have the mainstream actually quoting you or linking to you in the hope of getting attention. That if they want to build their own readership, they will comment on Grok or link to Grok or hope to get Grok's attention.
Well, you see, Granite Grok is an all-amateur organization. Nobody gets paid. We all chip in a little bit. We're all people with other full-time jobs. So it's an amateur organization, but a bunch of very dedicated, enthusiastic amateurs. There's no budget per se except for Skip's internet bill. On the other hand, there are organizations like New Hampshire Journal or even WMUR and the Union Leader that occasionally find themselves behind the 8 ball and being forced to quote us, which they don't like at all. New Hampshire Journal, which is a paid blogging organization of Rhino Republicans, actually quotes us and tries to pick fights in order to drive up their readership. And recently, James Pindell of that WMUR, who hides all his own stuff behind a firewall, a paywall, so nobody will know what his real readership is, decided to pick on a comment under one of our blog posts and say that's going to cause him some flack. So we immediately jumped in and said, good, if we're getting flack we must be over the target. But we didn't get any flack, which means nobody read him. And that's the thing, people read us and comment on other blogs, but these other folks are coming to us for news, for things that they missed, and to try and get their own readership up. And that, I think, really underscores the reach that we're beginning to get.
And one thing that Granite Grok does that I like to do myself, I'm not one for editing video, but you'll go to an event, you'll shoot the entire event. You might put up excerpts, but you have the entire event shot. So if the media wants to try and spin something away from what's actually been said, Grok has the full thing and can counter it.
Oh, absolutely. At a live event, typically the whole thing is Ustreamed and recorded as much as possible. By as much as possible, I mean Ustream drops out occasionally. In addition to that, Skip especially runs more than one camera and collects the whole thing and then chops it up into manageable bites. He's much better at that than I am. And I say manageable bites, not edited bites. There's a difference. Breaks it up by speaker, for example, to get a complete theme. We don't chop pieces out of the middle. Never do, never will. I'm occasionally caught when my video stops and I have to splice it, and even then, nothing's deliberately removed.
And you said Granite Grok it's 10 people right now who all have their own jobs, and basically you collaborate on the internet bill, and basically it's your own expenses when you go to cover X, Y, or Z as well. Is that basically how it works?
Actually, Skip pays the majority of the costs, and the rest of us chip in from time to time. He's very, very dedicated to the cause. That's Skip Murphy, the founder of Granite Grok, and the rest of us, we all do our own research, we write our own articles, we go to events, and some people will write 3 posts a day and some people will write none. Between us, we all write something, usually several somethings every week, and the blog is very active and it's nearly always got something fresh on it.
Is there anything going on in New Hampshire right now that people across the country don't know that you would like to highlight today? Anything special that people may not know about?
Well, it's not primary season. The only thing we have going on in New Hampshire right now that's really attracting attention, I think, is standard Democrat dishonest budgeting.
I understand they're looking to get a tax increase on roads or something of that nature.
Oh, so yes. There are several things wrong. So, as people may recall, of course the Democrats will deny it, when Republicans took over in 2010, the state budget was about $800 million in the hole because of dishonest tactics, accounting gimmicks, and the real revenues didn't match up. Here we are in a new year, a new biennium, with Democrats in charge. They're trying to increase spending on everything that they like, which is a lot, and so they need money. So Maggie Hassan proposed allowing casino gambling in New Hampshire. She estimates that it's going to pull in $80 million a year in taxes. We don't have the casinos yet, we don't have the revenues yet, and we don't know the truth of her estimates. But that money's counted in the budget. So there's $80 million that's going to have to be borrowed if we don't collect it. And that's just the beginning. Next, it's the roads and bridges. Oh, they're so terrible. Well, actually, they're not. New Hampshire's roads and bridges are pretty darn good. They're better than most states.
They're better than ours in Massachusetts.
But they wanted an increase in the gas tax. However, just as the original gas tax wasn't 100% going to roads and bridges, the increase in the gas tax is going to be used for fish and game and all sorts of ancillary functions, and of course the general fund. It has nothing to do with roads and bridges, it's simply about taxing.
And well, I remember Chris Christie saying when he was in Atkinson, you give a liberal Democrat a chance to tax, and they'll tax you through and through. Well, now where can people find Granite Grok online? Where should they go? GraniteGrok.com. That's granite like the rock, GROK.com. And you have a presence on Twitter as well?
We do have a presence on Twitter and on Facebook.
So check out Granite Grok, and check out the individual writers of Granite Grok who also have presences, like Steve McDonald, for example, on Twitter. Check them out. You will not regret it. Well, Mike Rogers, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Pete.